you.
Yeah, sounds good. You would think with billions in the bank and a string of successful businesses to your name that life would be pretty perfect. But if there's one thing money can't buy, it's good health.
Well, we're joined now by founder of Phones For You, John Caudwell, along with his family. He's just been diagnosed with Lyme disease, and Dr. Chris is here too. And welcome to you. Thank you for being here today to tell us about this. And to be honest, I didn't know an awful lot about Lyme disease. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how you got it. And this is something that has absolutely torn through your family, isn't it?
It's torn through my family, but it's torn through lots of families, thousands of families in the UK. It must be the most single, undiagnosed, serious health threat in existence today. Not just in the UK, but probably in the world, because I get messages from all over the world. Do you know, when I found out that 5 out of 5 members of my family tested, only 5 tested, and 5 all got Lyme disease, I put a message onto Facebook. I was absolutely bombarded with stories of misdiagnosis, non-diagnosis, non-treatment, of lives that are completely, unbelievably destroyed. People, young, vivacious people who are bedridden for life, wheelchairs. It's horrendous.
It started with Rufus, your son, didn't it?
It did.
And what are the effects on him?
Do you know, one of the reasons Lyme disease is so dangerous is that it shows itself in so many different illnesses, and doctors don't understand this. In Rufus's case, he started with panic attacks at the age of 10, 11. He then went on to have general anxiety, agoraphobia, emetophobia, and from that, depression. We had endless psychiatrists, psychologists, counsellors, medics coming in to look at him. Nobody understood why he'd got these mental illnesses, because he had been the most charismatic young boy, standing up and singing for 3,000 people. He was an amazing child, and suddenly, bang, struck down, and a shadow of him formed himself, and we couldn't find out anything.
And the reason for that is because it's not something that the NHS routinely tests for, that there isn't actually a test in existence in this country for it.
Well, there is a test, but it's not reliable. But the bigger problem is not so much that the test is unreliable, it's that doctors just have no comprehension of the severity and the scale of Lyme disease. And what I'd love to see in the UK is that the health service appoint 50 doctors, 50 GPs around the country, and say wherever there's a chance of Lyme disease, educate the doctors first, because they don't know. Educate the doctors first and find out, do the blood tests and find out what percentage of their patients with any degree of chronic illness have got Lyme disease. And one thing I'll absolutely guarantee, it'll be an eye-opener. The percentage will be way beyond anybody's imagination.
Well, you've got a quote, haven't you, here? Read, because I think anybody hearing that, it's...
There's a couple of frightening quotes here, really frightening quotes. Dr. Klinghardt, who's a long-established clinician in this field, said that he had never had a single patient who suffered from Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's disease or MS, who tested negative for the Borrelia, one of the co-infections of Lyme disease. Never one. A further one, which is perhaps not so frightening, but you know, if you extrapolate it out, it is. Dr. Alan MacDonald found 2 strains of Borrelia in 5 out of 5 Alzheimer's patient brains tested.
Gosh,
5
that's
out of 5.
isn't it?
How do you get it, Chris?
Well, it generally passed on by this tick, which is in say woodland areas and farmland. And this tick, it doesn't fly; it just crawls onto you. It doesn't jump. And then this bites you, and if it's got the bacteria inside of the Borrelia, they're transmitted into your body. Now the thing is, after the bite, you may not feel the bite, you may not feel anything. There's a classic sort of bullseye rash, which is centrally it's pale, and then the red ring around the outside. Now that can come on, 2 days up to 30 days afterwards. But the thing is, you may not feel you've been bitten, you may not see the rash, you've been bitten, you've got the bug in your system, and then the symptoms, I call this a great pretender.
It
pretends to be every condition under the sun.
It does.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right.
And that's why
it's so hard
to die. You know what I was thinking then? You're saying getting people tested.
Yeah.
What about GPs who've got patients with chronic fatigue syndrome or ME?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I believe most of those will test positive. If they don't, fine, we've proven it's not Lyme.
That's right.
But I believe it's such a simple thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a few £1,000s. You know, I believe that the money invested now in testing for Lyme disease as one of the primary tests for people with diseases that could even remotely fit into the Lyme disease category.
Would you do this with your own money?
If the health service don't do it, I am absolutely dedicated to bringing this to the surface and doing research. But it'd be so much better if the health service do. I'll spend my money lobbying the health service.
Yeah.
They need to do it because they need to prove it to themselves. If I go away and prove it, they'll probably start looking to pick holes in my research.
Yeah.
You know, I need them to do it. So I'll be lobbying the government and lobbying the health service to say, you must do this. Just on financial grounds alone, you will save billions, not waste billions or spend billions, you'll save billions. That must appeal to them. And I'd almost give them a money-back guarantee that if it doesn't save them money, I'll cough up some of mine.
What are the effects within your family now? At the varying degrees?
Yeah, there are varying degrees because Rufus went from being psychologically affected in the most dramatic way you can ever imagine. I've already described this charismatic young lad struck down, unable to leave his bedroom, wanting almost every minute of the day to die. Want every minute of the day. The whole family have suffered that for 8 years. The frustration of not being able to find out what was wrong with him or cure him or do anything. I mean, I'm a fixer. I put people right. I want to help people.
What about the rest of the family?
And to have my son like that for that long was devastating. But eventually, it went outside of his brain. It stopped affecting his brain. It was still affecting his brain, but it went into physiological symptoms. Started attacking his gut. Stopped him from eating. So he lost 3.5 stone, was malnourished, an absolute shadow of himself physically then as well as mentally.
And this is something, if caught early, you can treat?
Absolutely treatable. It's absolutely
Can you treat it if it's not caught early then? What's the prognosis for Rufus and the rest of the family?
The prognosis for Rufus is okay, but we know we've got a big battle. We've got a massive battle because he's got to have very powerful intravenous antibiotics. He may well react to those. He'll almost certainly get Herxheimer's reaction, which is due to all the debris that is created as a result of the dead bacteria. He's going to, it's going to be a huge challenge, but we believe we're going to get him right.
Don't you? You must sit there thinking that you have £1 billion and a family stricken here, Rufus, in this terrible situation, that money actually is worthless if you look at the health of your family.
Well, it isn't, because I'm only able to do what I'm able to do now because of the money. You know, the money is... the health service is impossible. I couldn't get him admitted to a health service hospital. They would have treated him for something else and he would have died. I had to go the private route, and the money, of course... I've spent hundreds of thousands already. But what about all those poor families? Thousands of them out there that have got no money. They're just completely challenged. What are they going to do? Well, I'll tell you what they're going to do. You read my Facebook page, and you read the comments and the stories from those families, and they're destroyed.
But with £1 billion, couldn't you set up your own testing centre? You name it after you, the Caudwell Lyme testing centre.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I am going to be doing something. I'm going to be doing something, and I'm going to be dedicating a few £1 million to this. But I need to do it in an intelligent way that transforms the health service in the country. I can't do it alone. I need the health service to... It's their responsibility, after all, it's not mine. I mean, I paid £250 million in tax in the last few years, to the UK government. I just want them to... Sorry,
that's the UK government calling me.
David Cameron.
They want some more.
David Cameron wants to talk to him. It's their responsibility to do it, but what I will do is spend my money making sure they do it. And they do need to do it because then they'll take ownership. If I do it, maybe they will never take ownership, and I can't fix everybody in the country. What I can do is try and make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be fixed.
Thank you.
We wish you
Thank you very much.